charge.
2 weeks ago, Lee's soldiers ousted
The all-new Chevy Trax, starting at $21,495. Possibilities are endless.
Courtney Cubey with incredible insight and access there. Thank you so much.
Continues, the situation could turn dire. Meanwhile, the junta is digging in. Are you on your way? It has created government, appointed members of cabinet, and basically said that they are not going anywhere. The West African Regional Bloc had given them 7 days to reinstate the president or face the threat of force. Those 7 days have come and gone. The junta did not reinstate Bazoches, and there has been no use of force by the West African Regional Bloc.
Go beyond the expected with the #1 most dependable mass market brand 3 years in a row by J.D.
does not
Power.
seem open
Kia,
to
movement that
negotiations and
inspires.
dialogue.
If
Earlier
your child
this
has
week,
diabetes,
a
you
delegation
want the most
with the
accurate.
on the streets of the capital and shut land borders in preparation of something that might come.
Two babies in New York, a chance at a full, healthy life. They are the first babies in the world to receive what's called a domino heart transplant. Today, co-host Chanel Jones spoke with the families about this life-saving journey.
Hey guys, this is a story I'm so excited to share on the gift of life that an anonymous organ donor and their family so selflessly gave to save not one, but 2 little babies. They were part of the world's first domino heart transplant in infants at New York Presbyterian Hospital. Here's a look at how one heart became gold for these 2 families.
When we found out I was pregnant for the first time, it was so exciting. We were just overjoyed.
Samantha and Andre Civil of Roosevelt, New Jersey were college sweethearts. Sam, a teacher, and Andre, a police officer, were preparing for the birth of their first daughter, Brooklyn, when at a routine anatomy scan, doctors noticed something wrong with the baby's heart.
It was very hard. You just don't imagine that when you find out that you're pregnant.
Baby Brooklyn had an extremely rare condition. Instead of 2 heart valves pumping blood to the rest of the body, she only had 1. The Civils learned that after Brooklyn's birth, she would need a partial heart transplant to survive.
It was terrifying. They gave us a lot of information that we didn't quite understand.
And 1 state away in Massapequa, New York, Nicole, herself a nurse, and James Scatz were doting parents with their newborn baby girl, Mia, when at 10 days old, Nicole noticed something off with her daughter.
She did this fast breathing. I saw it and I couldn't unsee it. I was taking her to doctor after doctor, and everyone kept telling me that she was fine.
Call it a mother's intuition, but Nicole knew something was not fine, and soon her fears were confirmed.
I realized that she had cardiomyopathy and was in heart failure.
The Scats were told Mia would also need a heart transplant to survive. Each baby found their way into the care of New York Presbyterian Morgan Stanley Children's Hospital, where they were both in a race against time for a new heart.
Having days where you feel like it's never going to come, it's the hardest part.
7 months into the agonizing wait, the Scats family got the call they had been waiting for.
Timing was actually very serendipitous. I had received a donor offer for Mia. That was about 2 in the morning.
I was sleeping. Nicole grabs me and she's like, James, Dr. Lee's on the phone. We found the donor.
But in an incredible twist, the Civil family also got a call.
The next morning, we reviewed Brooklyn's case. I said, well, I'm doing a heart transplant tonight, and Mia's valves actually work perfectly. Maybe we should do this as a domino.
A heart domino had never been done before in babies.
A domino transplant is when one patient is both a recipient of a transplant and then also becomes the donor for another transplant.
So Mia would get a heart transplant, enabling her to donate the working valves from her old heart to Brooklyn. The Scats did not hesitate to offer Mia's valves to Brooklyn.
And then a few hours later, we were on the turnpike heading up north. and she was in surgery.
After 9 grueling hours, the medical team had great news. Both surgeries were a success.
The moment they told us that the heart was implanted in her and was working well, I don't think there's really anything that can describe it.
Soon, the families were able to meet.
Words can't explain how much we appreciate you guys.
And 2 weeks later, both Mia and Brooklyn were headed home. Mia with a new heart, and Brooklyn with a part of Mia's.
You think about what the Scats did for us. They got such incredible news and they were able to think of somebody else in that moment.
One of the nurses said that Brooklyn will always have a piece of Mia's heart. It makes it feel like we waited so long for a reason.
And if that is not heartwarming, I do not know what is. Chanel Jones, thank you so much for that report. All right, we want to end right now on a high note, so here is your 60 seconds of joy. Earlier today, personal front page here, I was tagged in a reel on Instagram that immediately made me smile. It was from a mom in Mississippi, and about 6 months ago, she noticed how her 4-year-old daughter responded every time she saw me on the Today Show. Watch this.
Sam. That's not Sam. It's not Sam. That's not Sam. Hi, Sam. It's Sam. Hi, Sam. It's Sam. Sam. It's Sam. It is. Who is it? It's Sam. It's Sam. 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 It's Sam. Sam. It's Sam. Those are not Sam's. It's Sam. They're not Sam. Hey, that's Sam. Sam. Hi, Sam.
So that 4-year-old girl is Sloan. I am told Sloan is watching us right now with her parents and her grandparents. I just want to say, hi, Sloan. And also, I talked to my wife about this. She thinks you are great. She's still #1 on the pecking order.
We landed. Catastrophic scenes across the island tonight. Home after home burnt to the ground. Fears tonight that some of the hundreds still missing could be trapped inside those charred buildings. More than 50 people now confirmed dead in likely the worst natural disaster in Hawaii's history. Mounting questions tonight over why the emergency alert system was seemingly never activated. Tonight, the story of one resident desperate for news of her grandmother who was inside an assisted living facility with no one there to help. She and so many others in agony as they search for answers. We've got full team coverage of reporters across the disaster zone tonight. Our other breaking story tonight, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointing a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden's alleged tax crimes. The man who is now tasked with overseeing the case after Biden's plea deal fell apart. A warning for former President Trump tonight with the judge overseeing his election interference case ruled about what he can discuss on the campaign trail. And what you can do at home to pitch in for the people of Hawaii tonight. Top story starts right now.
Good afternoon. I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters. In keeping with those regulations, I have today notified the designated members of each House of Congress of the appointment. In February 2018, after being nominated by the former president and confirmed by the Senate, Mr. Weiss was sworn in as the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. Mr. Weiss had been a career prosecutor, having served previously in the office for more than a decade. Beginning in 2019, Mr. Weiss, in his capacity as U.S. Attorney, and along with federal law enforcement partners, that he has been granted ultimate authority over this matter, including the responsibility for deciding where, when, and weather to file charges and for making decisions necessary to preserve the integrity of any prosecution consistent with federal law, the principles of federal prosecution, and departmental policies.
How do you commit the perfect murder?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Lived on Maui for about 20 years now. I own a business called Whalers Locker. It's an old family.
Usually giving tours, today saving lives.
It's just been heartbreaking. It's almost hard to even put into words what we've seen out here.
Their choppers carrying thousands of pounds of aid being unloaded by regular Hawaiians looking to help.
People are lying dead in the streets out here. Hundreds of people are dead. I don't know what's really on the news, what they're saying.
It's been terrible to see those images.
It's devastating. It's horrible. And they had no warning. It happened so fast. The winds were so strong.
And help coming by air and by boat for people who have lost everything.
We need formula, diapers, ice, water, and just food. I'm a little worried because I have a 4-month-old and a 2-year-old.
This as desperation on the island is growing. New video just in showing the power of the deadly fires, forcing so many to flee into the water, clinging to rocks amid crashing waves and thick smoke. For days, the catastrophic wildfires have burned in Maui, carving a deadly path, likely becoming the largest natural disaster in Hawaii's history.
Everybody lost everything. We don't know how to feel. I don't know how you guys supposed to feel.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation, and many residents say the flames erupted with almost no warning.
My heart is just broken for everyone. Everyone who's lost someone, everyone who doesn't know where someone is.
Maui resident Danielle Yakut tells me she can't get in touch with her grandmother.
We don't know where she is.
Who lived in an assisted living facility. What would you want to tell her?
I'd want to tell her that we're looking for her. Hey, Grandma, we're looking for you. If you can reach a phone, call us. Let us know where you're at, or if anybody can see her, is with her, knows who she is, and just contact us. We just want to find some contact to get her.
National Guard recovery teams are on the ground in Lahaina, working their way through neighborhoods. Already, this is among the most deadly wildfires.
When we first arrived here in Maui, we found people lying here or sitting parked in their cars on the side of the road. Many had been sleeping here for days. Now, for the first time, they're being allowed to go back into the properties, into the areas of where they live. But what they find is likely going to be grim.
As the smoke and flames finally begin to clear, tonight here in Lahaina, a new crisis unfolds. In this desolate, tortured landscape, the search for the missing and for the dead.
That's our house right there.
Kimo Kirkman has finally made it home, but all he has found is heartbreak.
Oh my God, he's Bruno's bull. It's the most heartbreaking thing I've ever been through.
We first met the Kirkmans Thursday, who, like so many families, waited for days on the side of the road or inside shelters for this chance to go home.
Why do you get emotional talking about your community?
Because I love my community. They've raised my girls with me.
The Kirkmans have closure, but far too many are haunted by the silence. Tonight, there is no official number for the missing. While some fear it may be as high as 1,000, a stream of pleas cry out on social media. Mothers, fathers, children, desperate to find loved ones.
What goes through my mind is do I just go over there and find my dad because no one else is?
From California, Kimberly Bowen is waiting for any word about her father. 79-year-old Shadow hasn't been seen since the flames overtook his neighborhood.
More days that go by, those numbers are going to go up. And if he did get evacuated, where did he get evacuated to? There's no information regarding that.
Jason Gatea says his mother is also unaccounted for.
My plan is to get on a plane, fly out there and find out what the heck is going on.
Yvonne Weldon hasn't responded to the urgent calls from loved ones. A Maui resident of 20 years, she lived in the heart of Lahaina.
What worries you, is it internet access or is it something else?
Many here believe the death toll is far greater than the number confirmed. Residents continue to tell us there are bodies in homes, cars, and in the water.
Survivors tell us when the fire first hit Lahaina, there wasn't warning or much time to evacuate. Imagine being home, hearing screams and looking outside and seeing a wall of flames. That's what neighbors say happened right here.
We're all a family. We don't even lock our doors in our neighborhood. There's nothing here for us anymore. It was just devastating.
Tonight, so much destruction and so much uncertainty in this paradise now turned to ash.
And Miguel Almaguer joins us again live now from just outside of Lahaina. And Miguel, it's interesting. I'm looking at that live shot where you are, and usually in natural disasters, you see the traffic jams on the way to get out. But these are people after the natural disaster has passed that want to get in because this is still unfolding. You were one of the first correspondents on the ground here for NBC News. Tell us how the situation has changed, if it's changed at all.
Well, Tom, so many of the people here who you see in these lines of cars trying to get in, who are waiting for hours, they are desperate, they are tired, and they just want information. Many of them are going to return to properties that are totally gone. Some of the folks in these cars are looking for loved ones who have been missing for days, folks who they haven't heard from since this wildfire broke out. So the emotions here are still very raw. Folks here have been on edge for several days, and now they know they're going to start getting answers. But of course, so many are scared of what they could possibly learn, Tom.
Hey, Miguel, before you go, have you had a chance to sort of tell who's going back in? Does it appear to be only residents, or is it emergency vehicles? Is it supplies as well?
Yeah, Tom, right now they are letting in residents who have a valid ID, who can show proof that they lived in this area in the burn zone. They don't want to overflood it. Clearly, everyone who lives there likely wants to get back home. They're also allowing all emergency responders. We know search and rescue teams are coming in from all parts of the mainland. Those folks will, of course, have first priority to get in here. But do we expect these backups, these traffic backups for local residents to last for hours? It's a slow process. They're checking IDs. They're making sure everybody has the right to be in there. It's going to take some time, Tom.
All right, Miguel Almaguer for us. Miguel, we appreciate all your reporting. I want to bring in a special guest now. Mara Gomes joins us now. She's been delivering mail to this neighborhood where we have for the last 3 years. Mara, thanks so much. I know this is a difficult time. We brought you over here to join us on the broadcast because you're actually still delivering mail, and this is happening just behind you.
Yeah, we've been delivering even on Tuesday when it first happened. Yeah.
Is that your phone? Is that an emergency alert? It sounds like there's...
Yes,
so they've been texting out alerts. Is it about the wildfires?
It's about the Lahaina opening the road and letting people, some residents through to get back to their family.
So, Mara, you've been in this neighborhood for 3 years now, working in this neighborhood. What was right here? Because it's hard for us to tell.
Right here we had a family of, there was a big house, and then on the side, the guy used to live behind the garage. So there was multiple families in this house, and the one up above.
There are reports of gusts of up to 85 miles per hour. So, that.
Democratically elected president. Since then, regional tensions are deepening, and there's growing
and that's what I don't want for this community.
Like, I want
some people might hear that, Mara, and they may say, Mara, that sounds crazy during this time, but it's important for you to keep something that is routine here, right? Because this is so not the norm.
Yeah. So we just keep going, delivering mail, all the other routes too, and we're just holding everything. I mean, we just got to keep little kids.
I want to move on now.
Beneath the ash and debris in the town of Lahaina on Maui's west coast, a history rich with culture, now made so by King Kamehameha, who united Hawaii's islands in 1802. The former site of Kamehameha's palace in the area engulfed by flames, along with this 200-year-old church, the final resting place for several Hawaiian kings and queens.
We lost our business, but our family's here.
Gone too, Tiffany Wynn's Lahaina gift shop.
The nice thing about Lahaina is such a sense of family. Everybody watches out for each other. And when tragedies happen, everybody bands together.
As much as has been destroyed, still
for those who have been displaced. Steve Patterson.
So tourists, people that were in Lahaina at the time the fire broke out, threw everything into their car, including their families, and just drove, wound up sleeping in their car for days on nights, and finally found their way to shelters like this. But also people donating almost every minute of every hour. There is another box that goes by with food, with water, with fuel, with supplies that are vital for people here to live. I want to go back though to those residents. There was a woman who lived on Maui for 50 years and watched her home burn. She came here with nothing but her husband and the shirt on her back. Listen to what she told me.
What is it like for you to see this historic, the place you grew up for 50 years, gone?
Oh, that's so sad. That's why we're planning, all of us, our neighbor, we've seen our neighbor yesterday already, and we all hugging, crying. And then you keep contact each other to make relieve the stress, you know.
That, Cynthia, can be hard to hear. She says that her neighbors and her were hugging and crying and sobbing, but that her daughter also lives in Lahaina. Her home stands, so she will live with her daughter. Are playing ball. They're doing all they can to get people out. They're putting messages out that says that getting people out is their primary mission, including lowering fares, offering more flights, offering more seats on flights. So they're doing their best to get people out, and so far, it's been working. Tom?
Okay, Steve Patterson for us tonight. Steve, we appreciate all your reporting. As we have mentioned, while mostly contained, the fires are still burning. We see that just behind us. I want to bring in tonight NBC meteorologist Michelle Grossman. Michelle, are the weather conditions helping or hurting the firefight? Because throughout the day, we have felt those winds hit us.
Yeah, hi there, Tom. Yeah, the breezy at times. Certainly, we're seeing winds gusting over 20, 25 miles per hour times, but much better than yesterday, much better than the day before, and certainly much better than the 82 mile per hour we saw at the peak of all of this. So right now, we're seeing winds anywhere from 8 to 15 miles per hour, gusting over 20 miles at times. This is 6 o'clock later on tonight. This is local time, so we're looking at an 8 mile per hour wind, anywhere up to 8 to 15. And then by tomorrow at 6 p.m., again, 5 to 15 miles per hour. Could see some gusts over 20 miles per hour, but better. We've returned to a more typical summer-like trade wind pattern over the islands, and that's good news. It's going to help the firefighting efforts. But we remain in a drought. It is severe in some spots, and we have a lot of dry fuel on the land. We have a lot of dry grass. We have a lot of dry trees. And look what happens as we go throughout time here, because we are not expecting any rain. 90 degrees as we end up the day today, later on today. Lots of sunshine, sunny, hot and dry. Winds east 5 to 15 miles per hour. Again, could gust a little higher than that. And then as we go throughout the next 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, look at all the sunshine. The temperature is so hot, and we're going to keep the rain out of the forecast. We could see a light shower or two, but nothing to help the efforts. Tom?
Okay, we appreciate all that. Thank you. We want to turn now to our other big story tonight. Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing a special counsel has been appointed to investigate Hunter Biden. The special counsel is saying the tax case against the president's son is likely to go to trial. NBC's Peter Alexander has more.
Less than a month after Hunter Biden walked into court expecting the criminal investigations of him would end, tonight his legal troubles are only growing.
I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing Trump-appointed Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who's been investigating Hunter Biden for alleged tax and gun crimes, had requested special counsel status.
The appointment of Mr. Weiss reinforces for the American people the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
Shortly after, in court papers, Weiss said negotiations with Hunter Biden's attorneys for a plea deal were at an impasse, and there would likely be a trial. Hunter Biden's lawyer tonight saying he expects a fair resolution to the case. But Republicans are blasting Garland's selection of Weiss, who oversaw what the GOP calls a sweetheart plea deal that would have allowed the president's son to avoid prison time. That deal fell apart under scrutiny from
of the appointment. In February 2018, after being nominated by the former president and confirmed by the Senate, Mr. Weiss was sworn in as the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. Mr. Weiss had been a career prosecutor, having served previously in the office for more than a decade. Beginning in 2019, Mr. Weiss, in his capacity as U.S. Attorney and along with federal law enforcement partners, began investigating allegations of certain criminal conduct by, among others,
as
Robert
insane
Hunter
conspiracy theories. Tonight, the president ignored reporters' questions, but has repeatedly defended his son.
I'm very proud of my son.
All of this, a new political headache for the White House with a possible criminal trial for the president's son in the heat of his father's re-election campaign. Tom.
Peter, we thank you for that. The news of Hunter Biden's legal troubles come as lawyers for former President Trump were back in court today. The judge laying out what Trump is allowed to say about the investigation into the 2020 election interference probe. NBC's Garrett Haig joins us now with more. Garrett, what can you tell us?
Tom, the day ends with Judge Tutkin putting in place a protective order that will limit some of the evidence that Donald Trump can talk about publicly in this case against him. But the vast majority of the evidence in this case will be things he can talk about. He can talk about basically anything that doesn't include personal information or that the government marks as sensitive. So that could be things like grand jury transcripts or information that might, if it is, will remain